Today's topic, we're gonna get into the king of clubs. All right, so we're gonna talk about destiny cards. If you guys are not equipped with or have any knowledge on what destiny cards are, I advise you to do a quick little internet search and just type in destiny cards. For the matter of explanation, I will post the dates of the birthdays for destiny cards. So everybody is assigned a birth card based on when they were born, and that will determine what card you are. So feel free to check that out. If you got to rewind it, go back and look. I'll also put it in the description just so we don't leave nobody confused and in the dark about this great topic of destiny cards. But before we begin, man, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so we can vibe. And if there's anything that you're confused about, feel free to hit me up in the comment section, man. I would love to give you feedback, and shed some light on whatever it is that you might be confused about. But yeah, let's get into it. King of clubs, we be clubbing. So what does the suit of clubs represent? Well, that's interesting. The suit of clubs represents communication. It represents intellect, intelligence, education. It represents spirituality, right? So all of those things are what embodies the club. So if you got the king of clubs, then intuitively you can imagine that the king of clubs would be very skilled in those things. In fact, he is the most skilled, right? So if you are a club suit, regardless if you're the ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6, 7. No, I gotta stop doing that. Sorry, my kids, anyways, that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, so if you are a club, that means that your personality cards would be the jack of clubs or the king of clubs. These are who you're trying to ascend to, who you're trying to aspire to be eventually, right? It doesn't mean that if you were already born a king of clubs that you're just born with all of these talents, right? But it does mean that these influences will be more stronger and you'll be more prone to fulfilling that role of the king of clubs. All right, so like I said before, king of clubs represents your intellect, intelligence, communication. All right, so what does the king of club embodies? This is somebody that could be a pastor. All right, this is somebody that could be a teacher, somebody that is very skilled spiritually, and they could be a diviner, they could be a healer, right? These people could be very much a doctor, right? Because you have the element of intelligence and, medically, those are one of the most sought after positions for intelligent people, right? People that have went through the trials and tribulations of becoming a doctor. It's a really hard thing to do. Hey, more power to you if that is your journey. And I would definitely say that if you are a king of clubs, you may look into a field where you can, continue to grow and continue to expand and embark on your knowledge and bring in more attributes, if you will. All right, so what does it mean to be the king of clubs? The king of clubs is somebody that can teach people, right? That can teach big groups of people, whether it be orally, whether it be, in writing, whether it be, in preaching, whether it even be in coaching, right? Because you got things like being a life coach, being a sports or a physical athletic trainer. These people will be very skilled at getting large groups of people to kind of hone in and listen to the message that they're trying to deliver. All right, I'll take, for instance, I'm the 3 of clubs. All right, I just revealed my birth card now. Don't be doing no research on me and whatnot. No, but for real, it's like, clubs, they always want to think about stuff. They enjoy stimulation through thought or stimulation through writing. All right, so these can be very much writers, right? These could be people that write scripts for movies, right? These could be people that come up with, all of these ideas and plans and orchestrate some bigger function outside of themselves. They are very inspirational. We wouldn't get really far without the clubs. And just so you guys have an idea of what each suit represents, I'll quickly run through them. So, diamonds, that's going to represent business. That's going to represent finance. That's going to represent material values. Anything that could be of materials, cars, house, real estate, things of that nature. So you can kind of get a gist of, what diamonds people are all about. Then you have your hearts. Your hearts are all about, love, connection, relationships, maybe even that feminine aspect, the young life, because also hearts represent spring. So you got to think This represents, the loving and cherish and nourishment and healing of others, right? These people are very romantic, right? They're very very built on relationships and how they connect with other people, if that makes sense, from a loving and intimate perspective. Excuse me, y'all. And then you have spades. And spades, spades is interesting because I like to think of spades as like the old heads, you know what I mean? Spades represents, the cold season, right? The winter, the death, right? The death of people, payback, serious documents like, insurance, inheritances, things of that nature. The occult, occult knowledges, occult sciences. These are the older wisdom. And so from that standpoint, you got hearts, which is the youngest suit, right? You got your diamonds, which is, you got your heart's youngest suit. Then you have clubs, that's second. That's like adolescence, growing up, like as a teenager. You got your diamonds. These are the people in the adult world, the big business wigs up on Wall Street, trying to squeeze a penny out of nothing. And then you have, your spades, which are old seasoned vets. These people been around. They got old souls, if you will. So yeah, it's really important to understand how the different suits influence, each other, and how we can use these as tools to navigate through this connection, because we're all connected. You have to really think about it. I don't want to sound like a broken record. I'm sure as the day and age that we in, being the Aquarian age, you have people that they're speaking out about these things, and they're starting to be more open. Career for this person is to be like a preacher, be like a pastor, and not only that, I'll play devil's advocate, somebody that is, maybe very in tune with the occult knowledge, very in tune with the secret church, a Mason. This could be somebody that's a part of, the Illuminati, people don't like that word and stuff like that, but real talk, these are people that understand the spiritual language that's being translated, they understand that. Not only do they understand it, but they can come from a teaching standpoint. They can then, brush people's shoulders and be like, nah, man, this ain't the way you really need to regurgitate that or understand that. Here's a better way to understand that. So they're bridging the gap between ignorance and intelligence. These are people that will be great teachers, great people that are just, it could be a health educator if it was to be, it could be somebody that is very much like a sage, very, very much like a diviner, it's given like Jesus energy, for real, no cap. Somebody that could come along, hear people's stories, listen to what they have to say, and then be able to formulate that or understand that in a way that most people wouldn't be able to understand, right? Because they have the gift of the communications field. So this could very much be somebody that is famous. This could be an actor, right? Because they're very good verbally. They understand how to translate how it is that the character that's playing the role might feel. These people have a great sense of, intuition. They understand and they can sense things that other people might not be able to sense. They have those receptors that allow them to be able to understand the knowledge of the universe, right? These are your magicians. These are the people that can come and be great speakers, get people to congregate around them and join, forces and really get one side and this side, they might be opposed to each other. They might have some, very contradicting views, and be able to get, each party to understand, hey, besides all these differences that y'all have, these are the things that y'all might have in similarity. These are the things that might be able to help y'all grow. All right, so very much spiritual, very much people that can understand the occult, very much people that can understand the Bible, religion. These people might be very skilled in careers like herbology, right, and understanding the roots and nature and how they affect us, and find ways to heal people through herbal remedies and medicines and what have you. All right, these people are very much going to be healers. All right, it's got healer energy, and not always in the sense of emotional healing, because like I said, that might be more of the King of Hearts. The King of Hearts is also very spiritual, but more in the sense of educationally and verbally, and getting people that might struggle with dyslexia or struggle with reading or struggling with comprehension of something, and be like, no, this is not what they meant. They definitely got the vibe. Okay, pull your Bibles out. I know y'all got some questions. I know y'all are worried. I know y'all not really understanding how these things really correlate or connect with each other. And this is how they're going to connect with each other. All right. This is the father. All right. They have very much father energy. This is a person that's going to be a guardian. They have lots of patience. This is not, it's definitely the vibe of somebody that is not always thinking to react in a malicious or overly masculine way. They hear out their wife, you know, they hear their kids, they understand what their children might need and how they can support them is more in a loving and affectionate way and through understanding, right? Because as human beings, you know, everybody thinks that being a man equals having some kind of brute force over people and being able to exert your dominance over people. But the real dominance is intellectually and, you know, intuitively, and being able to read others and understanding the wants and needs from people and how they connect with each other overall. So that pretty much, you know what I mean, sums up what the King of Clubs is. If anybody has any additional questions, like I said before, please feel free to comment, and reach out to me. I would love to help and connect in any way that I can. You know what I mean? Look at me. I'm the 3 of clubs, but I'm in my King of Clubs personality card, because these are my gifts, is to be able to connect with the masses, connect with people, and kind of put things in ways that they can understand them, if that makes sense. All right. So if you do have any questions, like I said, make sure you reach out, hit that like and subscribe button, and continue to follow me on this journey through astrophysics. It's your boy, Sir Justice, and I wish y'all a great day.